Travel isn't just about destinations, it's about the people you meet, the cultures you immerse yourself in, the stories you carry home. I'm Relebogile Mabocha, and on my travel feature, I take you on a journey beyond the guidebook. Each week, I connect with fellow travelers, insiders, and storytellers to bring you the heart of every place, whether it's a hidden gem right here in South Africa or a dream destination abroad. Join me as we travel through conversations, memories, and inspiration. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It's my favorite kind of interview when I get a dog joining me in the studio today. So thank you very much to my next guests for making that happen. He's not the only reason we're doing this interview, though, although he is the sort of star of the show. It's a real pleasure to have back with us in studio today blind adventurer Christopher Venter. You probably remember him best as the blind scooter guy. We've chatted to him a couple of times over the years. Having first met Chris in 2018 when he published his book describing how he lost his sight and how he didn't lose his taste for adventure as a result of that. And in the intervening years, Chris has continued to travel the world, to take on big adventures, to defy stereotypes, really, and to build the life that he dreamed of having. And he does so while delivering inspiring keynote addresses all over the world. He's about to set off on a new journey in support of a cause that is very close to his heart. So we have grabbed him literally, I think, hours before he sets off on the next adventure with his friend Michael Burton Durham. They are off across South Africa to visit some of the most remote and underserviced schools for the blind. And on the way, they will be dropping off mobility canes to donate to those students. So Chris, Big Mike, and of course, guide dog Sam, who is the star of the show. Lovely to have all three of you with us. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Chris, very quickly, for the sake of those who don't remember or who maybe didn't catch our previous interviews, won't you just briefly remind us how you came to lose your sight? It was a virus that attacked your retinas, wasn't it?
Yeah, in 2013, I travelled with a Vespa scooter from Cape Town to Dublin, contracted virus while crossing Africa, and unfortunately, after the journey, it cost me my sight. And yeah. So I mean, that's the short version. That's the quick version.
The long version is that it cost him his sight, but he was determined that it wasn't going to cost him any more than that. And you've made a point of defying expectations, turning people's preconceived ideas of what a blind person can do and should do, Chris, on its head. Is that sort of a matter of personal pride to you?
Yeah, I decided that I was going to become an adventurer before I went blind. So I'm an adventurer that went blind, not a blind person that became an adventurer.
Yeah.
So that made it easier. And yeah, my projects normally see me jumping off a mountain, paddling an ocean, or driving a race car around a track, or building a house, as I most recently did.
Never mind hammering in nails without sight.
But I try to every year do something noble, something charitable, something that will leave a legacy. Got a 6-year-old son who turned 6 a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So I want him to remember his dad with fond memories. And a couple of years ago, we distributed some mobility canes that I'd organized from an organization called You Cane Give in the US to the Athlone School for the Blind here in Cape Town. And it wasn't long thereafter when the more rural schools started knocking my door and saying, please, can you help us get canes, because we're the ones that really need it.
Yeah.
And of course, I was busy with the Building Blind project, which we filmed, of course, for GSTV.
Yeah.
And then when done with that, I decided, okay, let's put my thinking hats on. I reached out to them again and said, hey, guys, what about these schools specifically in the Eastern Cape? I think both your and my hometown and beyond. And we managed to get another batch of canes. We've tied in with lines. We've got some support from Amazon, a nice little rental car from Kirstenhof Car Hire, and we're off to go and put canes like this one, as well as little solar-powered audio players that are loaded with Bibles in the native language. They're loaded with instructional manuals on how to use your cane, how to maintain your cane. There are podcasts. There are some songs and all sorts of things like that. So, it's quite a nice sponsorship. But, of course, to get these to these schools is not so easy. So I roped in my buddy and said, come, let's go for a ride.
So, Mike, I mean, you are the driver-in-chief. At least I really hope you're the driver-in-chief for this trip, which is, I think, over 4,000 kilometers. Tell us where you're going and what you're doing.
Cool. Well, it's an interesting one. We had many different iterations of the route that we were going to do. And we've kind of settled on one that's going to predominantly take us along the Eastern Cape route to the most rural of schools and the most needy of the schools. So we head from Cape Town all the way up through to Port St. John's, that sort of area, and everything in between. It's going to be interesting because we've got a great little car that we're going to be riding in. Emphasis on little.
And we're big guys.
You're not two small guys, for the record.
Yeah, I'm 6'4", and I've got the seat as far back as it can go. So it's really going to be a lot of fun on that. And Sam's going to be in the car with us as well. He's already claimed the back seat and is stretched out quite comfortably over there. Yeah, I think it's a great project. We've literally been working on it for close on 7 months now.
Okay, in terms
to get
of
the project.
the logistics. Yeah.
Well, the logistics kicked in high gear in the last 2 weeks.
The last 2 days, really.
It all slotted into one. Finally, I mean, I was on tour, and Chris goes, "It's done, it's done, it's done." You know.
And
we're
off you
going.
said, you're literally leaving after this interview, aren't you?
Correct.
Sort of thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sam going with you, Sam being the guide dog who's been with you for how long now, Chris?
About 2 years, just over
Okay.
2 years. Yeah. And he's 4 years old.
He's 4 years old, very well behaved, sitting there very quietly next to you in studio, and didn't even lick my hand when I patted him. I mean, I know that the bond between a guide dog and their human is incredibly special. But I would imagine, Chris, that he steals your limelight to some degree when you go on these kind of visits.
I've got absolutely no problem with that, Pippa. He can have the cameras on him anytime. He's a much better looking dog than I am person, so it's no problem. I'm interested to see how he is treated in areas like the School for the Blind just outside Lusuki Siki, one between Umtata and Queenstown, one in a township in Nkandla. Is it Nkandla? Kabeja. Oh,
yeah.
goodness, big Freudian slip there. In Port Elizabeth, and that because although those children would love to have guide dogs, for them the only real option is a mobility cane, and a mobility cane costs over $100 each for a proper collapsible one. So,
Gosh.
we're hoping that we can help them forge some new roads and move a little swifter and safer.
You know, you've brought your cane in with you, and for those who've never seen one, you can imagine, I know when a lot of people think of a cane for the blind, they think of the old-fashioned, very sort of straight stick, white stick. This one is collapsible. It folds up. You can tuck it under your armpit, tuck it into a handbag if you have such a bag. I mean, Chris, talk to us about what a difference it makes in your life to have one of those on hand.
It's like being Inspector Gadget. So you've got something in your hand that you can fill or unfoil and find your way. Walk up and down steps unassisted. There's a tip that's a roller tip that allows you to not get caught and jab it into your stomach.
Yeah.
And it basically is like an extension of your arm. So if you had to imagine yourself as a sighted person who closed their eyes and had to walk, the first thing would happen is your arm would come out and you try to feel your way around, perhaps on the ground, around you on the walls. And that cane is a way of doing that and still being able to move quite briskly and with confidence.
Yeah. You know, we've got a new colleague starting this week who is coming to Primera out of the Hein Wagner Academy for the Blind. And we had, I'm very proud of our company organizing sort of sensitivity training for all of us last week on how to engage with our new colleague and what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and emphasizing how much his independence matters to him and do not sort of jump in and try to take over, but let him learn to navigate the space around him with confidence on his own. And, you know, Chris, what you've just said about that simple device, which makes that possible, means that a person can come into our building and embrace a job in our IT department with full confidence, knowing he's got the skills to do so and nothing stands in his way. For these kids who've never had access to a cane like that, who've never had the pleasure of a guide dog to assist them, I mean, what are some of the things you think that might be unlocked that they simply don't have access to today?
The first thing is the Hein Wagner Academy you spoke about is one of the places we're actually doing a stop at and talking.
Fantastic.
But when I went blind, for the first year that I was blind, I didn't have access to a cane. So I took a piece of electrical conduit pipe and created a makeshift cane that I'd figured things out because they just were not available to me here until I was lucky enough to have a friend come over to the States and was lucky enough to be able to afford a cane.
Sure.
So those are the first barriers that they have in actually accessing a cane. And with UCane Gives sponsoring these canes, these are reconditioned canes that they collect in the States and refurbish to redistribute. It allows them to go and catch a bus, catch a taxi, do shopping on their own, walk a path where there are perhaps obstacles at double the speed, access education, access family and friends when they need support, if they just need a question answered around their medication or something like that. It just makes them able to move much, much quicker and much, much safer.
Just for anybody who's coming in late to this conversation, with me in studio, the guy you've previously met in the guise of the blind scooter guy. It's not a scooter this time, it's a little car from Kirstenhof Car and Bucky Hire. I hope you told them what you're doing with the car, Mike, before you drove it away.
You know, it's
Bit
better
late
to
now if
ask
you
for
didn't.
forgiveness than permission, you know?
They know what we're doing with the car.
Okay, now I'm pulling your leg. So Chris and Mike are about to set off literally after this interview on a cross-country journey, several thousand kilometers to cover, visiting some of our most rural schools for the blind and mainstream schools as well, where there are blind learners in need of a cane to help them navigate the world. And a lot of people asking the same question, just astonished to hear the cost of such a cane, asking why is it so expensive, Mike? Surely they can be made cheaper than that. Chris, would you like to respond?
You'd think so, absolutely, but I think there's such a small demand for them. I mean, there's 300 million blind people in the world that would be potential users to canes. And in the US, for example, the government fund these canes. Now, there is an access program within government, and one of the schools that I approached and offered canes to, I said, give me a list of the students that you have that need canes. And she said, well, I can send you the list, but add some size to them, because the cane is obviously tailored to your height. Because we've requisitioned canes from government, and we've been waiting for 4.5 years and they haven't come, and probably never will. So a cane doesn't have to be an expensive thing, but because there are so few sold, the companies obviously have to push. Supply meets demand.
Right.
And canes can be made with graphite, with carbon fiber, with aluminium, with fiberglass. There's all sorts of materials. These ones that they are getting are high-end, top-of-the-range canes. So yes, you can get a cane for a much cheaper price, $20, $30, $40. There are companies that are doing those that are available, but that doesn't matter. If they're not here, they can't get them,
It's
regardless
no
of
good
the
to anybody.
cost.
Yeah.
And then the little solar players that we have are also, I think they're worth about $70 each as well. So the kids are getting quite a nice little package of goodies.
Yeah. Now, is that package of goodies in hand? And I ask this simply because I know you've mentioned this is a US-based organization, You Can Give. We have had lots of horror stories in the past week of US aid attempts being curtailed. Let's say no more than that. Are the canes you are distributing physically in your possession already?
They are, yes. We've actually sent to a couple of places. Look, what You Can Give do is they collect canes that people get there. In the States, every few months you can say, I've outgrown my cane, I'm tired of it, I'm bored of it, and the government will support you by offering you a new cane. You just have to fill in some forms and boom, you've got a new cane. So most blind people in the USA have a mountain of canes in the back of their cupboard sitting there. We were on radio the other day with a Californian station, and the guy said, it was a blind guy. He said, I think I've got 10, 12 canes in the cupboard. And then one of his other colleagues says, I also have a whole pile. And they were like, well, send them to us. What we can do is they put new grips on, new elastic, they retape it, put new tips on where necessary. We are also, by the way, for this journey, going to be carrying some spares with us. So where there are students that we encounter that do have canes that need a new roller tip or need new grip or new elastic, something we can help them do some on-the-spot maintenance and get them going again.
And this is the guy who builds his own house, so fixing a cane is going to be small change compared to that. I mean, we wish you such a safe and fulfilling journey. I mean, let me finish with the question of the sort of the mantra of the journey, because as you said, this is about unlocking the opportunity to live a more independent life for these kids. I mean, I would imagine your personal story is also playing a role in terms of inspiring them to be willing to try to live that kind of life.
You're such a good presenter, Pippa. You're leading me to, you know what my mantra is, and you're leading me to say it. In an accessible world, a blind man can do anything that a sighted person is able to. And I've proved that through building a house. I've proved that with my speaking work, which has taken me around the world. I've proved that by climbing the largest active volcano in Sicily and in Europe, while it was erupting and snow was falling around us. I've paddled, done all sorts of things, climbed both Lion's Head and Table Mountain from the ocean to the summit. My mantra is to prove to the sighted world that we can still be relevant. We can have normal jobs. We don't have to sit and string beads or make baskets. There are opportunities for everyone. In an accessible world, a blind man can do anything that a sighted person is able to. And the first tool that could help make this world accessible for people is a mobility cane.
Well, love what you're doing to make that possible for more young South Africans. Chris, it's always a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you for joining us today, literally minutes before setting off on this trip. Final question before we hand over to news is where do listeners follow it if they want to keep an eye on your adventures?
Yeah, on Facebook, Instagram, just look for Blind Adventurer Christopher Venter. I think it's Christopher Venter, Blind Adventurer, and we'll be posting. In fact, we just did a live from the reception here a few minutes ago, and we're off just basically going to home base Hermanus today. We've picked up the rental car. We're going to go and load up. Tomorrow we leave for Knysna. So we've been hosted by all the Lions clubs around the Western Cape, and we'll be visiting them. They've organized a couple of schools for us to visit each day. So we're not just rushing to the schools for the blind because they're all obviously limited. We are also visiting Mossel Bay, Oatran, Sedgefield, Knysna. We visit the first school in Port Elizabeth. We've got East London, Umtata, down to Port St. John's, past Lusiki, almost to Port Shepstone, and we swing around and start wiggling our way back until we finish in Worcester and then Tilbuck.
Amazing.
Before dropping the car back in Cape Town.
Well, good luck to you. And Mike, even more good luck to you because he's not going to be an easy passenger. You know that. The man's got a mind of his own.
And
so
he
good luck.
Stop talking.
Good luck, Chris wrangling. And good luck to Sam in the back seat cheering them on. And again, you've been listening to Chris Venter. If you want to read up more about his incredible achievements, you're looking on socials or Google Blind Adventurer Chris Venter. Safe travels to you both, to all three of you, I should say. And look forward to hearing all about it at the end of the trip.
Right. Thanks
Pippa.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Travel isn't just about destinations. It's about the people you meet, the cultures you immerse yourself in, the stories you carry home. I'm Relebogile Mabocha, and on my travel feature, I take you on a journey beyond the guidebook. Each week, I connect with fellow travelers, insiders, and storytellers to bring you the heart of every place. Whether it's a hidden gem right here in South Africa or a dream destination abroad. Join me as we travel through conversations, memories, and inspiration. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.